Hey everybody, it's Peggy. I'm back again with another video. Today I am making a table runner and I'm also celebrating. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, I think. Don't unsubscribe. Don't screw with me. Okay, so I am going to make a table runner, but I'm going to make a table runner. I'm going to make a table runner. I might as well get the camera turned around right away. I like to say hi first so you can see that there's actually a person here. Let me get the camera down here and I'm going to babble for a bit before I start. I don't know. I haven't done this before. Okay. I haven't done a table runner in a while and I haven't done this in a while. Okay, so this is border fabric. So I'm making a table runner using a 1/4 yard of border fabric because border fabric usually comes like this. Let me get some rolled up here. I just want you guys to see what it looks like because not everybody knows what it looks like, and this is hopefully going to be for beginners. So border fabric, you come in and you see it like this on the bolt, and it's the same. They're narrow strips. They're the same on the front. Like when you open it up, you usually have, sometimes borders can be narrower, but for the most part, you're going to get 4 strips, 4 identical strips. Okay, so just to show you what a border looks like, if you're ever in the fabric store and you see it like this and they're identical strips, that's a border. Now, it's a really cool idea to take a big long piece of border and turn it into a table runner. Except for then you've got to buy enough material to do 4 table runners, right? Usually. Okay, if I'm going to make a table runner, I'm going to use a full border piece because I already buy table runner. I already use runners for some of my stuff. So what I'm taking today is a 1/4 yard of border fabric, and I'm going to turn it into, hopefully, a table runner that I can be proud of, that I'm going to like, that I'm going to enjoy. So I've got a second cutter out here. I've got all my usual horse shit and garbage in the way, so you guys know how that works. And I'm just going to get right to it. Okay, I've made table runners before, but usually for me, like I said, if I'm using a border, I'll take a full border strip and make a table runner out of it. What I'm doing today, actually I am going to use my cutter. So what I'm doing today is I'm going to take my border strip. This is a good project if you just want to buy a 1/4 yard of border and not have to buy a full 1 or 2 yards to get the length that you want. So a 1/4 yard is 9 inches. So when you get this stuff home, you're usually going to find that it's going to be a little over. That's usually how they cut it in the stores. Very few stores are able to cut it exactly because then it could get all wonky. So how tall is this one? This one is 10.5 inches tall, which is great. So if I cut here, if I cut exactly, this one happens to have a bottom border edge. So if I cut exactly along that border edge, and then do it again. Actually, I gotta do that bottom one. The bottom one usually has a bit of extra off the bottom, right? You can cut these at whatever spot makes sense to you. If it makes sense to you to cut them in the middle and then go up by 10 inches, like if you're looking at your border and you go, but I want lots of red, then the blue, then this, cut it wherever it makes sense to you. Where you're cutting your borders doesn't, just because the border is set up a certain way, doesn't mean you have an obligation. And if you want a narrower border, if you want a narrower piece, as a matter of fact, I do want a narrower piece. Okay, so I am going to come over here into the corner. Actually, I'm going to cut that straight. I missed a little tag here. How exact you want to be is up to you. Up to you. Anyway, so you need, to start this project, you need 1 1/4 yard piece of border fabric of your choice, or fabric of your choice. You can do this with anything, obviously. It's your sewing. Now I am going to, what you can also do, obviously, if you want this entire border on, then just make sure you take your seam allowance into account and go under that line by whatever amount. I'm not concerned if I lose a little bit of that line. I'm just trying to be nice and basic today. Anyway, so far this is easy. Now you've got 2 choices. I thought that didn't go. I'm going to just cut off right at the edges. Actually, I'm going to measure right quick. Yeah, my 10 inches is just a little bit off. Now, I'm not too concerned if these are exact for height. This is, these are approximately 10 inches tall. These are approximately 10 inches tall, but when I'm done, in order to straighten everything up, and you'll see what I mean when I am done, I'm probably going to bring these to about 9 inches. So I'm probably going to get rid of quite a bit of this top, and that way we'll, once I'm at 9 inches, we'll just have more flower and less background. It'll be a little bit more like that. But I'm going to leave the extra there because I can, because I don't mind. So I've got 4 pieces, okay? Now, if I just sew them together, they might look a little weird. And I don't want them to look any weirder than they necessarily have to. So I am going to get all schmancy. And again, this is up to you. You can just sew all 4 of these together, because once you sew them together, 9 times 4 is 36. Is it 36? 9 times 4 is 28. Never mind. If you just want to sew all 4 of these together and then finish it, you're done. You can stop like this. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about going like upside right, upside down, so it would be, I was initially thinking of going 1 upside right, 1 upside down, 1 upside right, so that no matter which side of the table you're sitting on, you could look at some of them upside right, but then I changed my mind. Table runners are actually pretty easy once you decide on what you want to do, because it's not as big and bulky and just big and bulky as a regular quilt is doing. So I'm going to measure-ish just to be sure. Yep, these are all a minimum of 10 inches. So now I'm going to stack these up carefully. I'm going to stack these up carefully. Now I'm going to say now and then just get distracted. So I'm going to stack them up carefully. And I'm not sure if the camera's picking this up or not, but even with stacked up, you can see how these are a little bit off center from each other. When you're cutting an entire width of fabric, it's not necessarily going to be perfectly straight. So even though this is nominally 9 inches, I'm probably going to take a 1/4 inch off each end just to make sure everything's nice and straight. But what I'm also going to do, let me just do that. Okay, let me get this over here, line it up there, taper so slightly. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is ever so slightly bigger than 9 inches. Like I said, you'll quite often find that that's how you get them from the fabric store. On any fabric, if you're getting a full yard, you're not going to notice, but if you're getting a 1/4 yard, you'll quite often notice that they're ever so slightly wider than they need to be. So, I've lined up the bottoms as careful as I can get them. So I'm just going to take, this is called squaring it up, so that you're verifying that you have a nice square, because if something's off a little bit here, then here, then here, then here, by the time you get to the end, it's going to be way off. And obviously you don't want that. Because I'm using the grid lines that are already existing on my cutting mat, every now and again I find I have to stand up to cut properly. Don't know why. Just the angle that everything's at. Okay, so these are 9 inches wide. I'm still not concerned too much about the length because I will be squaring it off for length once I'm done. But what I'm also going to do is, okay, I let this shift and I shouldn't have. I'm going to cut 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to cut this. I was thinking about cutting it at the 3-inch mark. But I don't think I need it to be that narrow. I don't think I want it to be that narrow. So I am going to cut it 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. I'm cutting these in half. I'm going to cut these in half. There's a method to my madness. I'm just kind of deciding things as I go. So what you want is a 1/4 yard of border fabric of your choice. And then you want to cut that 1/4 yard. 1/4 yard is 9 inches, and you want to, once you square it off, then you want to cut it in half. Okay, so there's that. Then you want to take, for me, a contrasting or solid color, and I'm lazy with no imagination today, so I'm just taking black. I'm just taking black. So when you get these all laid out, I forgot to add them up. So when you get these all laid out, you're going to want one of these piece of black, one of these piece of black. So what do I got? I got 8 of these. I'm gonna have 1, 2, 7. I think I need 7. We'll find out. We will find out. Don't, if I'm sounding confused, I am, because I'm just going, and then I'm keeping track as I go, and then there will be proper instructions. There should already be proper instructions if you look down in the description box. Okay. So always double check the description, because usually when I'm making this, I'm already halfway into the project, and it's easier for me to just go. I did this funny. Okay. So we're gonna take off the selvage. When you're cutting with these rulers, make sure you line up your fabric along the bottom of your ruler. I need a longer one. I don't have one handy. Stop, push it up. There we go. Okay. Make sure you're lining up this flat against the bottom of your ruler before you cut. So I've got these at 4.5 inches, and I want a reasonable strip. Almost like think of it like I'm building a window pane around this. I'm really hoping for a slight window painting effect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a 2-inch piece, and then when I get every piece that you have, this is a 4.5 inch piece, but then once I sew it, I'm going to lose a 1/4 inch on each side to the seam allowance, so it'll be 4 inches. Whenever you're measuring stuff, always remember that 4 inches on average is your seam allowance, unless you're working on a project that requires a bigger seam allowance. So I am going to toddle off and go get a bigger ruler. I either have my tiny one or I have my big one. I need an in-between one. That little tiny ruler is not quite the right length. So I'm going to cut 2.5 inches. And for this, I'm not measuring here. I'm measuring according to the end here. You'll get the hang of it. If you have big rulers if you have the big rulers and you're not really using them yet, then all I'm doing is I'm lining up 2.5 inches this way. I'm lining up 2.5 inches this way, and then I'm double checking to make sure the top and the bottom are properly perpendicular to what I'm working with. I went ahead and folded my fabric in half, so I'm doing 2 at once. And I'm also being careful whenever I pick up or move something, I make sure that one hand is on the fabric, making sure the fabric doesn't get dragged or shifted with it. And normally I'm a pretty toss things around and don't give it a lot of thought kind of person, and I'm not doing that right now. Okay. 4, 8, 4, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8. That should be right. I should have enough, and if I don't, I'll come and cut some more. We'll see. I think I actually only need 7. Unless I've really screwed up my counting. Okay, now we're gonna do this. There's a couple of ways to do this, and it doesn't really matter. But I am going to, for this particular design, this is the bottom, and it kind of matters, because I am going to be putting a black border on this as well. I'm keeping this super simple. So we're going to have that, then that, then that, then that, then that, and that's all it's going to be. I'm not going to agonize about I'm not going to agonize about it. Not today. I don't normally make table runners. Not this type, so I'm not going to agonize about doing anything super, super fancy. I'll save that for later. I've made table runners. It's been a while, though. This is longer than it needs to be, and that's fine. I can always trim them later if I need to, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2. You can either just sew that to that, then that to that, then that to that, and keep going, but I'm going to pair them up and just do them that way. So I'm going to get my thread changed over, and then you guys are going to meet me over here in just a minute. Okay, so we are at the machine. We are ready to go. So the only rule that you have to follow at this point in time is whatever side you decide you're putting this black on, it has to be on the same side for all of them. Let's go back here for just a second. So if I put my black strip on here, and then I screw up, get over there, and then I screw up and put my black strip on here, then obviously when I sew together, I'm getting the 2 black strips. That's all you got to watch. Just watch, and sometimes, depending on how you're doing this, if you're new and you're not confident and you're whatever it is that you want to be, whatever it is, if you're new and you're not confident, you can just lay them all out in advance with the strip already turned in the direction that you want it, and then just match them up that way. And that way, when you're going to the machine, you're just going to go boop and put it straight into the machine. You can do that, and that's totally fine. That's actually something I should probably be doing. But anyway, so I'm going to sew my strips. You can do them on whichever side you want. There's no rules, as long as once you've picked a side, keep it on that side. And don't forget, like if you want to go light on this and you want to go blue, green, yellow, then one of these blue, green, red, whatever patterning works for you. You can have a pattern, you don't have to have a pattern. These are a little long. I should have trimmed them down, but I'm lazy, so I'm not going to. And you're just gonna sew these on all the way across. Nice little trick is once you put your first couple of stitches in. Oh, and these are a 1/4 inch seam. These are a 1/4 inch seam. You know what? I didn't like that. Don't worry, I liked it just fine. But I'm gonna put my strip here and just lay the extra down. What I was about to say, 1/4 inch seam. So what you can do, easily enough, once you get your first couple of stitches in, put in your first couple of stitches. I'm not bothering to back stitch because I know I'm trimming and I know what I'm doing next. And I know if you think you're going to be storing this for a while before you get around to finish it, then you're fine. Once you put your first couple of stitching on, you can adjust this. Your first couple of stitches aren't holding it in, directionally speaking, aren't holding it in such a solid way that you can't make little adjustments if you need to. So if you are like, oh, I think it may have shifted, go ahead and shift it back. Get your first couple of stitches in, 1 or 2 stitches, and then double check. Whatever you've decided to do for your seam allowance, make sure that that's the seam allowance that you use for the entire project. I'm just using my touch and seeing where the end there is. And again, backstitch if you want to. Backstitch if you don't backstitch if you don't want to. And I'm just going to set it all down here. I get to do some ironing in a minute too. That's going to be fun because I just love ironing. Don't you guys just love ironing? Anyway. So yeah, I just logged in yesterday to take a look. There was some comments I wanted to take a look, so I checked out my account, blah, blah. And I noticed that there's 1,000 subscribers now. I got my first 1,000 subscribers. I'm so happy, you guys. And I sound so bored because I'm so happy. I'm just concentrating. You know how that goes. So I'm probably just going to turn this off and finish this. Let you guys maybe enjoy a speed up or something. But let's double check on what's going on here, okay? When you're measuring how wide you want your table runner to be, every time you sew in a piece of fabric, whatever size fabrics you've used, you're going to lose 1/4 inch. It's a 1/2 inch total, 1/4 inch per fabric, and you're going to lose that 1/4 inch on both sides. So what have I got right now? I have got a 6 1/4 inch piece of fabric right now. Because how did I manage 1/4? Oh, because I did 4.5 inches and then I did 2.5 inches. So I'm not doing exactly a 1/4 inch seam, am I? I'm going a little over 1/4 inch. A little over, a little under, I don't know. I'm going to have to double check what happened there. Anyway, nothing happened there. I need more coffee. Man, I sound tired. I feel tired. Okay, so this particular project, I haven't even double checked on how much it's going to make yet because it's going to be 28 inch piece of fabric, but I'm going to lose 4 inches because of all the seam allowances now that I've chopped it all up, but I'm going to gain back about 8 to 10 inches because of all the black, so it should be coming out to about 32 inches. That can't be right. I cannot be that accurate that quickly. Anyway, you guys relax. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so what I've done so far is I've got 7 of these. They're really over here. I just can't get things to stack up. Okay, 7 of these. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed. You probably did. I didn't bother pinning the first time around. I can get away with not pinning because these are extra long, because it was my first thing. I'm not at the precision stage yet. You know what I mean? I think you know what I mean. Anyway, I'm going to be pinning this stuff. I'm going to have to pin this. So I've got, I'm trying to overlap these by about a ½ an inch so I can get an idea. I'm still going way over here. Okay. So now I'm already up to 27 inches. So that's 1, 2 and a half. So far 27 inches uses 2½ 9-inch pieces. Now I'm at 32 inches. I may actually have to take one of these out because I don't think I need it to be that big. So now I'm at 32, 33, 34, 38 inches. And I've got one piece left over, okay? I've got one piece left over because the camera is just not going to, I'm not going to be able to get the camera in close enough. So I'm just going to pull this stuff out of the way so I can give you guys an exact idea of what I'm going to. So we're going to assume that all of these are properly lined up over here, okay? And then this is going to be the last one. This one does not get a black strip because it's going to be at the end. This one doesn't get a black strip on this side because it's the very beginning. Okay, so I'm going to leave my ends open. So I need 8 of these, 8 4½ inch strips, 7 of the 2½ inch strips. And my overall measurement is, I'm going to look it up later, guys. I'm lazy. I'm going to look it up later. 32 plus 14, it's going to be about 40 inches at least. I don't know. See, now I'm trying too hard. Okay, so now what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to get out the pins this time because I'm going to get out my clips. Where are my clips? My clips ran, there's my clips. Things are running away. Basically, I decided to take a break from my quilt. So I've got crap everywhere. Oh my God, it's bad. That's why the camera's only here today. No, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just messy. It's messy in here because I got the stuff laid out for the quilt that I'm working on, but I also want to get some stuff done for the shop. So sewing this is really easy. Now the interesting thing that I've got going on, I have to make a decision. I think I know what decision I'm going to make, but I'm going to measure it just in case. So these are almost 11-inch high. Wiggle and fiddle. Make sure that that lines up. Pick one side or the other to line up because like quite often, by the time you've manhandled this back and forth for a little while, quite often one side is a little higher or lower than the other. So I'm going to make sure that everything matches in the bottom. Going to match it up. And I'm going to clip. And I'm going to save myself a little hassle. Okay, that's my last one, so that goes on last. And I'm just going to do 2 at a time. I'm going to do 2 at a time. It'll save me some time. It'll save me a little bit of time near the end. Because then once everything's ready to go, I just bring it over, I sew it. Now this particular one, I already know that I'm trimming it from the top, so if the top is a little off, I don't have to care. As long as the sides, come on, get back in there. There we go. And I'm going to clip it, and if you need 10 clips, 20 clips, right? Whatever you need to feel successful is what you need to be doing. And if you're confident that you can do this with just, if you're confident that you can do this with no clips, then go for it. It's not a rule. These are just tools, and if you don't need them, you don't have to use them. Okay, where are we at? That one goes there. Okay. That, okay, now this one here still needs to get sewn to something, so this is going to go here. Like I said, it's just not going to have that second piece of black to go with it. And line that up. So this is just a quick and easy way to use quarter yard of border fabric, turn it into 40 plus inches of table runner. And like I said, you can put this up any way you want. This is a little bit easier because it's all done. Because you're gonna have to double check on all this stuff anyway. So doing several at once is a great way to assembly line it. So where was I talking? I was talking about being really happy that I got my 1,000 subscribers. So as a little celebration for me and for you, I'm going to do a giveaway. I like to wait till I'm partway into these before I announce that. Anyway, I'm going to do a 1,000 subscriber giveaway because I can. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm keeping this one. I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do another one, a different one, a slightly different one to show at the end. But I'm going to do a giveaway, so if you want to join the giveaway, make sure you use the word table runner. Should we do table runner? I don't know. What should we do? What word should we do? I need to do one of these live and actually get suggestions. Anyway, yeah, just do table runner, all one word. And make sure you comment with that word in the comments below, and we will do a draw. I guess when's this going up? This is going up on first Monday of February. So I will do the draw. That's the following Sunday. Give everybody a week to find the video, enter. Like I said, you don't have to. Okay, and we're back over here again. I'm still waking up. I have not had nearly enough caffeine today. Come on. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? It's beautiful. Now, I'm not going to, okay, the first bunch I went ahead and ironed. I am just going to finger press these because I just want to get this done. I've only got like 2 or 3 more pieces to put in. Maybe I should give this one away. This one's coming up really nice. I'm always scared to say I'm giving this one away because if I screw it up, it's going to be, who wants it? Now, I'll give this one away. This one's gorgeous. This one's a really nice... Oh, this one does look really nice because it looks like that flower continues. Okay, so... that goes there. Come on. That goes there. We know this is the last one because it's only got, a black in the center. It's got no other black. So we're going to come back over here. Actually, I don't know where we're going to go. I'm confusing myself now. Okay. So I'm going to go there and there. I'm going to get just out of the way here for a second so I can line all this stuff up. One clip. Another clip. Now don't forget, whenever you do these projects, actually, if you have a machine with a knee lift, get the hang of it, start using it, because instead of having to clip this top, because you clip the top, and then you line it up, and then you take the clip out. Well, because I've clipped the bottom, but because I've got the knee lift, once I've got the top lined up, I can just turn straight over to the machine and get sewing. Saves you a little bit of time, saves you a little bit of hassle, a little bit of muscle, a little bit of fuss. Okay, that one. Doesn't really matter. Now, one of the interesting things, and I don't know if you noticed this or not, but one of the interesting things is that most of these are very similar because they're coming off of the same short stretch of the bolt. So if things are starting to look a little samey, don't worry too much about it. That's fine. It's allowed. Let's get over here for a second. Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm going to give away this one. I'm going to do this one. We're going to make sure that I do it. We're going to make sure that I do this right. I'm going to be over at the other machine in a minute. At the other table in a minute anyway, squaring this up. No matter what you sew or how you sew it, always expect that you're going to have to go back to a cutting table or a cutting area or wherever and however you do your cutting. Expect that you're going to have to do that because as much as I would like to say I mean, there's people out there that can do a perfect nothing shifts, ever. I'm not one of those people. I always double check my measurements and then I square everything up properly after the fact. Okay. I don't know if your machine does this. My machine does this every now and again. I'll take my foot off the machine. I'll take my foot off the pedal and then it will still stitch out 1 or 2 more stitches. And I don't know why they do that because I don't think I've ever had a machine, not that they do it all the time or anything like that, but I've never had a machine that doesn't occasionally, for some reason, just want to trigger 1 or 2 extra stitches every now, not all the time, but every now and again. Like it just did it now. It's like, it's not supposed to be doing that. I took my foot off already. It must be that the needle, like the foot, it must be that there's an entire motor. It must be that the motor is at a particular, the needle, the foot, the needle, something is at some particular sequence that it just has to finish the sequence before it'll stop. See, now it stopped. Stopped, no problem. Now that I'm bitching about it, it stopped. Anyway, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? So there's a couple different things that you can do. Some people are all about looks and not about being concerned about anything. So don't worry, I'm not done. I'm not done. Some people will just put a backing on this and then be done. It's not very often, but it happens sometimes. But right now, we are going to go back over here. Now, I'm not set up very well today for filming. Like I said, I've got all my stuff out for quilting, and I'm just taking a break from that. So this is what the tabletop's going to look like. All I've got to do now is go square it off a little bit. I'm going to see if I can, I don't think I can get my camera, I'll give it a minute. I love you guys. I'll give it a minute and see if I can get my camera hooked up. See if I can get my camera moved over. But if I can't, you may have to just wait till I come back. Because what I'm going to do now, I'm going to trim this over. I'm going to trim this over on my other table because it's bigger and I have more space. And I'm going to square everything up. And then I'm going to cut some batting and fabric for the back. So let's see if I can let's see if I can even get the camera over there, and then we'll go from there. I've already got my camera turned on. Okay, guys, this is easier than I thought it was going to be. I didn't have to move nearly as much stuff. So now I'm going to, hey, now I'm going to get a measurement for you guys. Let's get an actual measurement. This guy's huge, bigger than I thought he was going to be. Whoops. Don't mind me, I'm just like tossing everything everywhere. This is 28. This is 44 inches. This is a 44-inch table runner. This is a standard size table. This is a generically standard size kitchen table. This is where it started out life as. This was a kitchen table that I repurposed as a cutting table. So it is going to go almost the width of the table. So I'm going to carefully fold this in half. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Yes, I'm going to do it this way. I don't care. I don't have to care. I did it right because that folds almost exactly in half. Okay. Now, that I've got that folded in half, I'm going to take my big ruler and my big cutter, and I'm going to be very careful to track which end is the end that I folded at, because this end's folded in half. If I screw up and cut this way, I'm cutting the whole thing in half. So always double check. Put a pin, put a marker. Put a pin, put a marker, do whatever you got to do. Okay. Now we're just going to go right along there. Now, even though I was careful to line things up properly along this bottom, things shift. So, and I've got to get those little tags off anyway. So I went up about 1/4 of an inch from that bottom. I don't mind if I lose a little bit because I only want it to be about 10 inches wide anyway. Carefully flip it over. See, this has got a bit of a thing. I'll trim that off in a second. Carefully flip it over. I'm going to measure. That's 10 inches. Okay. Now I really do want it to stick. I do really want it to be near the 10-inch mark. So that's about 10 inches. And what I've done is I've lined the bottom here up. This is 10 inches. I'm just going to go. I already cut the top, so I already know that this is more than long enough. So I'm going to go to the bottom over here and go 10 inches. I'm just going to go do. There we go. And then I'm going to put it across there. Line it up with those marks that I just made. Friction pen, of course. And I'm going to be ever so slightly. There we go. Okay. Take that. Take that. So now it's 10 inches wide. I'm going to come down here. Now I shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I should have actually done this with the fold at that end because I'm right-handed and I like to use my cutter from my right hand. Everybody has their own way of balancing out all the things. That's mine. I don't like holding the cutter in my left hand. I feel like I don't have any control, and these things can really cut you if you're not careful. Never put things in the not being careful position when it comes to rotary cutters. Okay, now let's open it up. Looked a bit messy before. Does it still look a bit messy? There we go. So now I have a, now let me just double check on that because don't forget I had to give a little trim down at that one end. I had to give a little trim down at this end. So let's see what it's at now. Now it's 43 inches. Oh, when I measured it the first time, I hadn't flattened it out. So there's lots of puffiness. It's 43 inches. Let me double check on that. Ooh, I screwed up. Let's fix that. Something must have shifted because I wasn't being careful. It's okay. It's okay. Don't forget, this end's not, just, I can leave it. Let me just see how off it is. Nah, I'm going to cut it. I'll cut it. If you guys have seen me do a reading cloth, you know what comes next, that I'm going to put a back on it. But I might as well make it as nice as possible since I'm giving it away to one of you guys. And again, just put the word, what did I just say? Table runner in the comments. Okay. Now, I'm not going to take any chances. I've double checked all my stuff. We're going to take a little break from filming because I'm going to iron this. But before I do, I'm going to come back here. Don't worry and don't be afraid that you have to rearrange and arrange and rearrange and arrange and oh my God, the rearranging and the arranging. Okay, so I know that's at least, okay, that's 24. This is folded in half, so that's at least 48 inches. I have a big cutter, so I'm going to go like that. I has a big cutter, so I'm going to do it like that. And I'm also, where'd I put it? I put my stuff down and now I can't find it. Oh, there it is. I dropped it. That's the thump you heard a few minutes ago. Okay, so this is going to be slightly larger than, for me personally, when I'm cutting like this, when I'm folding and refolding and folding again, I like to cut a little tiny bit bigger than needed. So this is about 10.5 inches wide by the 40 by 44, whatever I said it was, like that. Then I shall put it here. There's my 10-inch line. There's my 10-inch line. Then I will get my more proper line. Then I'll finish it up that way. Is this really easy? If you have to stop and go, just make sure you keep your rotary blade frozen in place like a statue and then keep going. Okay, that. Don't worry, I cut it fine. It's just stuck to the thing. You would not believe the fuzz on this. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to, look, I already know that, see, this overhangs the table a bit. I already know that this is longer than what I need, but what I'm going to do, actually, I don't need to. I don't need to, do I? Do I need to? Okay, I don't need to. I don't need to, I'm not going to. Okay. So I am just going to put this into place. I forgot that I gave it an extra iron when I was moving the camera over. So I'm good. Okay, just give everything. And I'll show you guys this in just a quick little second. But just remember that batting likes to be a little bit sticky. So you do that. You do that, and then, where's my pins? Where's my pins? Okay, here I am, I'm back with the pins. Now, of course, things are a tiny bit off center. It's no big deal. We'll just get that. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go on double speed so you guys can enjoy the show but not have to enjoy the agonizing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a few pins in so that nothing moves. I'm not going crazy just yet. Well, I guess I don't have to do a fast forward. This part's done. Okay. I'm going to put a few pins in. This is just so things don't shift, okay? Because then once this is done, I can actually roll this up and store it if I need to. Okay. I am going to use my self-binding technique. I don't think what I do for self-binding is really all that different from what anybody else does. So I am going to line this up here. And I am going to be very careful in being careful to line this up exactly with the edge so that when I cut through here, if I cut anything, I did cut a tiny bit, but if I cut anything, it's going to be minimal. Okay, so that end's squared up. Do. And again, I am right-handed, so we're going to flip it around. Sometimes I'll cut by going down to the end, but then you guys would just be staring at my ass in the camera, and I didn't think that was going to be fun for any. Well, no, it might be fun for me. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to take that off a little bit. I just realized it was a touch longer than the other one. Okay, so now batting is on. Do. Batting is on. This is out of the way. We're done with this. This is actually going to go sit and wait for me back by the machine. Okay. Okay. So when you're doing backing on a self-binding quilt, you need to make sure your backing is at least 2 inches bigger than what you need all the way around, which is why I suddenly went, I need 42, so I'm cutting 50. I need to cut a little bit extra to account for that, and the reason why I went to 50 is because my finger is doing this all over the place, and if anything shifts on me, I'm not going to screw it up by default. Other thing you can do, of course, is take 3 or 4, it's just the back, so you can take 3 or 4 pieces and just sew them together until you get the length that you need. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just being a purist because I can get away with it. So I need this to be, my project is 10 inches wide. My project is 10 inches wide, so I need this to be at least 12 inches wide. And because I'm working on a larger project, the larger the project, the easier it is to have something veering off center or away from where you actually want it, which is why, let me get this selvage off. I know that one didn't go through. Reason why I add extra is because when you're doing a long or a large project, it's really easy for your measurements to get screwed up. Not screwed up, but it's easy to start lining it up at this end, and by the time you get to the other end, it's veered. This way, I can just get on with my day. So my piece is 10 inches wide. I need a piece of fabric that's at least 12 inches wide. And because I have the extra fabric, I'll use this for other projects. There's no problem there, but I have extra fabric to spare. So I'm going to give myself a safety margin of 14 inches wide. I have the camera here and I have more space here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get that out of the way. I'm going to get all my stuff out of the way. There's stuff everywhere. I'm almost to the stage where I can actually properly clean up the batting. That's why that's one of the reasons why I've been a little bit slow with the shop, because batting is a bitch to clean up. It's not hard. It's not dirty. It doesn't leave any stains or anything like that. It's just annoying. Okay. So I've actually got that laid out upside down. I actually had this laid out upside down, so I thought I would just shift it a bit. Okay, so built in a safety margin, absolutely not a problem there. Now I've got 2 steps left to do. First step, I have to quilt this. You cannot use a quilting come on. Oh, now I put it too far on that. So I'm just going to take my time, get this where I want it. But yeah, been a little slow in the shop because, well, you just saw that. And that's not a big deal. Okay, it's not a big deal to clean up one thing. I'll make sure this is all cleaned up and that there's no quilt batting stuck to it on the front or the sides. It's not, like I said, quilt batting isn't dirty. It's just annoying to, you know, you're sitting here with the lint roller for 3.5 hours trying to clean it all up. So, don't mind me. I'm lazy and I'm going to sit down while I do this. If I can find my pins, it is. There they are. Okay. Quilt batting isn't dirty. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, it's lint. It's mega lint. It's lint-tastic. So, yeah. I have to clean up completely before I can move on to any other projects. I'll take the lint brush to this. There's not going to be anything on this one when it sends out. There's no problem there. But it is a pain in the ass trying to do any basic work. So, now, the pins that are already in there are going through the fabric and the batting. That was to hold everything in place while I got it started. So now I'm just making sure that I go all the way through everything, pin it into the back. The number of pins that you may or may not need. So this can work. This works for, okay, once we got to this stage, what happens next works for any kind of a, once we have, some people call this the flimsy or the top. Once this part's done, because you can do this out of anything as long as it's your preferred length by your preferred width, you're good to go. I had said that I was going to do some placemats, but then we ended up moving the table. I'm doing one of these for our table as well. I ended up doing one of these. We ended up moving our table, and I don't need the placemats now. So I'm skipping them. Those will be for another day. But this is already gonna. I don't know. I think this is gonna probably be a bit of a long video. Anyway, my next step. Now, I can do fancy sewing, or I can just stitch in the ditch, which means that I find every seam, and I just sew down the seam. And that's all I'm going to do for this. I'm going to stitch in the ditch, because we've already got a really nice, busy pattern that I just don't want to mess with too much. So I'm just going to stitch in the ditch, because when you use batting, you have to hold it down with something, because if you ever try to wash it, it will slump and go lumpy and all sorts of weird stuff. So my particular batting is rated that I have to have a stitch at least every 10 inches. This is only 4 inches, so I'm good to go. I'm just going to go up and down on this, and then we'll move on to the next step once we're back over at the machine again. But I'm going back to the machine, so you guys are going to come with me. Well, there we go. We're back. Camera issues, because, you know, that makes it fun. Okay, so everything is as it should be. I've got my front, my back, my middle. This is called the quilt sandwich, for those who want to know, for those who care. As a matter of fact, I'm going to switch over to my walking foot. A walking foot is noisy. They make a lot of noise, but it does the exact same job, a lot less noise, a lot less hassle. It's a lot easier to use. I will say the two things that other sewing machines do come with this is my knee lift over here. It's a bar that comes out and then down to where my knee is. I just use my knee to lift that. I will say that other machines have, this is the only knee lift I've used, so I don't know what they're like on other machines, but I have used walking feet before on a variety of machines, and I really like that a lot. Okay, so this is not a difficult step. This is the seam. This right here is the seam where the red meets the black, and I am trying my best to keep my needle into that seam, and I will tell you right now that I need about another 100 years of experience before I will get it 100% into that seam 100% of the time. So what I always try to do, I'm using a black thread. So I will try to pay attention so that I'm ever so slightly onto the black side, on this side, so that if something shifts and a couple of my stitches come out, that are coming out onto the black where they're going to be less visible instead of onto the red where they're going to be more visible. But if you're following along and stitching in the ditch, being aware that you will don't expect to succeed 100% of the time in staying 100% in that ditch. I'm not going to say it's not possible, because I know people who are very, very, very deeply committed to their precision sewing, and they will rip the stitches out and keep going and try again until it's 100% in the ditch. I don't have time for that. I don't want to say I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a great idea when and where it's applicable to what you do. But I just don't, I'll get there. I'm getting better every time I do it, right? In some ways, this channel is about me learning. And you can go all the way, you can go all the way to the edge. You can go all the way over the edge if that's what you want to do. Just be aware that at some point you're going to be folding this up and over. So if you go all the way over the edge, it may show up on this side. So try your best to stop. Try your best to stop at the edge of the fabric or at the edge of the batting. My lighting got all funky. Something happened. I don't know what happened. I'm going to try not to worry too much about it. I'm just going to try not to worry about it too much and assume that you guys can see what's going on. Wow, that is bad lighting. Let me see. How's that? Is that better? That's just as bad. Anyway, at least I can see better. Okay. So for this, now I've left that pin in. I'm going to take this pin out for now, but I may put it back in a second. So we'll see. So now what I need to do is come through here. This is all done. This is all done. And now all I need to do is attach top and bottom. And like I said, I decided to keep this simple. I was more focusing, my main reason for doing this is to get a little bit of practice on doing the runner length, size, style, whatever. And I already knew I was doing 2 of these, so you guys can have this one. I'm gonna do another one later, I think. Okay. So now I'm just going to line up my ruler with the edge of the fabric here and use my good old rotary cutter and cut 1 inch off. And like I said, I know I left extra on, but for me, I buy my fabric in bulk. Leaving a buffer isn't a problem. If it is a problem for you, then just be very careful. Pin extra. Extra pinning will help. Come on. There we go. Okay. 1 inch all the way, and that's all I got to do next. To the side, bring it down, unroll it some, tuck that into my lap, unroll that. It's not as hard as, it's not really as hard as it seems. It seems very, well, okay, I don't know if it seems hard or not. It doesn't seem hard to me. Basically, it's just about taking your time, being patient, not being in a hurry. And it's just like anything else. Like, I mean, I don't feel like some of you guys might be looking at this going, wow, you're going really fast. And that's just practice, right? There's things that you do that I'm going to look at you and go, wow, you do that really fast. So it's just take your time. Don't let yourself be rushed. The more you rush, the more you stress. The more you stress, the more you make mistakes. The more you make mistakes, the more you stress. The more you stress, the more you rush. It's a never-ending cycle. Just take a breath, relax, don't worry about it. It's fine. La la la, la la la, all the way around, all the way around. Make sure this stays. Just double check. Make sure your fabric's all the way up onto the, all the way up onto your cutting surface. And if you're cutting this with scissors, I mean, if you really want to, if you are determined not to waste fabric, then just take this, fold it one more time, fold it in, and sew it down. This is just what I do, right? If you have extra fabric and you're like, oh, but I really don't want to throw I can't think of anything to do with the fabric, but I really don't want to throw it out, then roll it into your project. It's not going to hurt anything. Not going to hurt anything at all. So if you are doing regular binding, obviously you want this to be the same you want these to match. So that's a different process. Maybe I'll do one with binding. I haven't done I prefer not to use binding, but I do know how it's done, and I am out of practice, so maybe I should do another one soon. Anyway, so yeah, I got to 1,000 subs, guys, and I'm really happy about that. So I am really happy to make this for whoever the lucky winner is going to be. Every now and again, every now and again you get a stubborn piece of thread. Anyway, I am really happy to, I am just in a really good mood today. I'm distracted, of course, because I'm trying not to wreck this for whoever's going to get this, but I am in a really good mood today. I'm really happy to hit that 1,000. I'm really grateful to you guys for liking me enough to hit the subscribe button. We are going to take over the world, eh? Okay. Now, back over here. Okay, you can do this one of two ways. Some people are more comfortable pinning this all the way down first. Some people will sew as they go. I prefer to sew as I go because I'm just lazy that way. So this is a nice project. This is a nice project, and everybody's going to be seeing the top. I'm going to start with this end. I'm going to give you guys the vertigo again and get you guys back over to the sewing machine. So I am just going to get up here. I'm going to fold it once. Fold it once to the edge of the fabric, once to the top. I'm not going to bother pinning again because I have a walking foot, I have a knee lift, I have all the things I need. Of course, first thing I do is yank it completely out of place. And yes, I will stop and put in. If I'm having an awkward day, I will pin the crap out of everything. So don't just assume. So you're going to want to just pick your distance. I like to tuck everything down in front of me because it keeps everything straighter for when I reach for it. And I just come back. Don't fold from up here. If you fold from up here, then you're just I don't know how to describe it. Just come back here a little bit and get your fold into place. Get it where you want it. Fiddle with it, get it around. And then you'll find that once you put a fold into a piece of fabric, it kind of wants to go where you would like it to go. And then you're just kind of wiggling it into place. And now you've got look how much I did all at once. If you're doing it up here an inch at a time, it'll work. Sorry, do what works for you. That will work, but it will also take longer. And you may find yourself with more frustrations. It's up to you to decide whether it's frustration, not frustration, working, not working. This is how I do it. I can get a lot more done before I have to stop. Now, I'm certain that this was folded properly. I'm about 4 or 5 inches away, so I'm going to back up and do the next section. I like to do it early. Some people like to go until the exact last millimeter is in there, and then they will like fold down there. If they're folding as they go, they'll fold down the next section. And if something's going wrong, and that's when you find out it's going wrong, it's a lot harder to fix. Then we just go. This is really dark. This is a dark fabric, dark on dark. I like dark on dark when you're putting it on light things because, I mean, I have white tables, so that's why I did it like that. Okay, and again, see, I've got a few inches left, so I'm just going to stop, do it again. Do it from back here, hold it in place. If you do notice that you've got some frays on your fabric, just tuck them in, because if you spend all of your time trying to peel them out and trim them off, you'll just take up all your, you'll just wreck your edge so that it's not going to hold as solidly. If you only have a quarter inch of seam and you pick it all out because you're trying to get every last loose thread off of it, then you'll only have no seam allowance. And I've cut mine at 1 inch all the way around. If you like them thicker, if you like a heavier border that comes this far, then do it at 2 inches, 3 inches, whatever works for you. Just whatever you do, make sure it's consistent. That's about the only real rule that matters. So if you want this to be If you want this edge to be a full inch, just make sure you're cutting it so that you're going to have that full inch all the way around. Now this piece here at the end, I did not pin it down, even though there's a lot of loose here. So I just have to make sure that I hold it carefully. You may want to pin it. I'm stopping and double checking before I even get close to it. At the very least, double check before you start getting too close to it, because you don't want to get close to it and find out that it's this piece here, because this is the very, very end, but every single one of these pieces has been sewn right to the edge. This one hasn't, so just double check that it's where you want it to be. Put your fabric down, put your thing down, do your thing, thing. One thing I do like about the Janome walking foot is because it's integrated, it actually does a proper back stitch. You still can't do decorative stitching with it, because you really can't do decorative stitching with a walking foot. A regular foot works on this. Don't worry. It's not like you can't do this without a walk. It's not like you have to have a walking foot for this to have a chance of working. It works a little faster. It's a little bit easier. Sometimes the downward pressure from your foot. A regular foot drags across the fabric as you sew. A walking foot lifts itself up and over. So when you've got bulky fabrics, it's a little bit easier. And your foot won't push everything into bunching up, but your foot won't push, you can still sew normally without it bunching up. You just got to go a little slower, take your time, and double check your tension. Okay, push that up there. See, look at that. Look how easy that is to make it go exactly where I want it to go. And you can tell it, I can feel the back. I can feel the extra thickness and whatnot to tell that I'm at the back and that it's folded in properly. So ideally you're gonna sew as close to the edge of this fold as you can get it. But if you can't, you can't. That's fine. Try to make it consistent, that's all. If you can only consistently get it to a 1/4 inch, then just make sure it's consistent. Just focus on consistency of where you're going to put that seam, not necessarily how close you're getting it to the edge. It's okay if there's a bit of a lip. It's okay if it doesn't go. It's okay if your needle isn't hitting exactly at that like 1/8 mark. And with practice, you'll start hitting that. Don't worry. If you're just learning to sew and you're going to put your stitch right down the middle of this, then that's fine, as long as it's done. Just get it done. Get her done. God, that's old. Isn't that Larry the Cable Guy or something? I don't know. I can't remember now. That joke is older than I am, and that's saying something. Nah, I'm not that old. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. Stop and do the next one. I'm gonna have to do the 2 ends. I'm gonna miter my ends, which will be easy to do. Ooh, somebody loves me. There's a beep. That's there, almost to the end. Fold that in, fold that in. Don't forget, this one's not, this last piece isn't pinned down. So either stop and pin it down or double check that it's exactly where you want it to be before you continue sewing to that spot. As you guys can tell, I hate using pins, so I love any project that lets me get away with minimizing my use of pins. Come on, back up. Okay. Now I do have a couple of loose things here that I don't want to screw around with, so I'm going to do that. Okay. Now I am going to use pins, so we're going to come over here. I am going to miter my corners. Let's see if I can get a good enough view for you guys. Okay, mitering the corner is where you take the corner. So I'm going to take this corner. I'm going to get some pins out first. Okay, so this is mitering the corners. Now what I've been doing so far is just fold it in half, fold it in half. Fold it in half to the edge, fold it in half up and over the edge, and then sew it down. Mitering a corner is, take your corner, fold it at an angle, okay? Fold it at an angle. Finger press it a little bit if you want to, or if you can, or if you need to, or whatever. Or whatever. It's all about the whatevers, man. Okay, where are we at? Okay, black on black is not my favorite. It's not actually my favorite color combination because you can barely see what you're doing. And then this goes folded to this goes folded halfway in, folded to the edge, and then that corner now has a nice little, is it going to go? Miter to it. It's nice. It's got a nice little angle. So that's what I'm doing for my corners. What I like to do is do in half and up and over for the center. This just works easier for me. So I pin that in place. Then I get this one. Now I already finger pressed it on this side and got it to go. So that way, then I do this one. Because once the center is in place, and this is a reason why I'm doing it on the short side, once the center is in place, it acts a little bit like having a third hand, because everything is still easy enough to fold down and back and push around. So put that to an angle, turn that in, 45-degree angle, then fold everything to the corner. This center is already halfway there, so it's super easy. Fold it the rest of the way up, and I'm done. And then I clip it in place. Don't worry if things seem a little weird. It is a little weird. It's a little weird. It's a little weirdly shoved just because of where I did that. And you may have to take this one off and redo it. And don't agonize if you have to do that. Whoops. You may have to take, once you get that sorted out, you may have to take the center one out and put it back on again. It's just things shift. Things shift. Don't worry too much about it. And then that's done. This is where your good tweezers from the beauty department come in handy, for me at least. Because as soon as you take that clip off, things want to move, and they will ever so slightly. I like to just do that. Oops. That is the now if you really need to, you can use a pin. Put your pin in that way, put your pin in that way, pointed that way, and then once you get it lined up, the way you want it, then you just pull your, you can leave the pin in while you line it up and then slide the pin back toward yourself to take it out. So where you're aiming your pin, where you're aiming is to line your needle up right over top of this corner here, because that's where you're going to start your stitch. So everything's got to be held down and in place. And if I like to start like 1 or 2 stitches back from that, or I like to start there and then back stitch 1 or 2. And then go forward catching that corner. Okay. We're almost done, boys and girls. We're almost done. So yeah, table runner. Table runner. And this one here, right now, is up for grabs. Video's going up. I've gotten up twice to take care of little things between rounds with the camera. So think I could have checked the date? No. It'll be down below. So make sure you use the word. What's going on here? That's what's going on. There we go. I want that corner to be as pointy and sharp as I can get it. So I'm just fiddling with it a little bit now. Okay, come here. And again, if you really need to, anything that you need to do. There we go. One more. And then just a couple back. Cut the thread. Trim that while I still remember where it is. Trim that while I still remember where that is. Oh, one end's done. One end is done. Okay, we're almost done. We're almost done. We're almost done. 1,000 subscribers. You guys are awesome, by the way. You guys are amazingly awesome. Another little piece of stuff here to do. Okay. Okay. Take that one off. Get my pin where it belongs. Get my tweezers. Oh, this one's just laying beautifully. I don't think I have to do anything with this one. Nope, this was just like, oh yeah, sew me. I could have made that sound so bad. There we go. Forward again. You don't need a whole ton of back stitching in those areas, but then again, that's up to you. Whatever makes you comfortable. You're the one who's making it, and you have to like the results. And if you feel that it's going to be more stable going back and forth 300 or 400 times, it's entirely up to you. Whoops, see, that one shifted. I thought it shifted. I thought I felt it shift. Which is fine. That's what your tweezers are for. It just shifted. Everything stayed where it was, but it shifted a little bit. So when I took the clip off, the one piece that had shifted just kind of went, boop, look at me. And I went, no. And I put it away and made it go away. You want the points as pointy as you can get them. Don't expect perfection. Don't expect perfection. See, that one looks great, but it's not 100% perfect. Shifted at the last second, little bugger trying to screw me up. Okay. Now let's get over here. Let's get over here. Let's get this. I have one last thing to do because I promised I'd do it. There. This is it. This is a lovely little table runner. I'll get you guys some proper photos for the thumbnail or for the whatever, and I'll get the proper measurements. Well, let's get a proper measurement right now. It is 10 inches high by almost 44 inch. Oh, wait, by 44 inches because I just put it on the 44-inch line. I'm just going to grab my scissors, take a check for any loose threads. Which is fine. This is actually reversible. Now, you may not want to use the black. You may not want to use the black side for anything, but it's there if you want it. And we are just going to clean it up just a bit. So when you are working with things that use batting, do expect to see a lot of lint while you're sewing. It can wash off. It'll wash off. A lint roller will take it off. It does not mean you've somehow wrecked your project. Because, oh my God, the first couple of times I used batting, ever. This is like years and years ago. First couple of times I ever had to use batting for anything. Because, you know, back in the day, my background did not include quilting and batting and all that stuff. That's why I'm self-teaching myself how to quilt. Anyway, back in the day, the first couple of times I used batting, I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing wrong? Look at this effing mess. It was... Why am I going effing? I'm trying not to swear, even though I swear like a sailor at the best of times. Who knows? I don't know what's going on. Anyway. You can wash it. This is washable. You can also just drop this into a dryer with a couple of, I don't know, drop it into a dryer exactly the way it is with a couple of pair of jeans or something to smack it around some. If you don't want to sit here with a lint roller. There you go. The lint is off. Sorry, all you're getting is the table runner. You're not getting the lint. You are not getting the lint. The lint is mine. I'm keeping it. So let me just lay this out. Let me just take a minute to lay this out, get the camera moved around, and then we will take a second look at this little guy. Be right back. Okay. There it is, guys. Look at the size. It's full size. It's a full size table runner, 10 inches high, 44 inches long. Flowered panels, black framing, black back. Look at that. Look at that. Could use it in reverse if you really wanted to. So that is done. That is ready to go. Didn't take that long. It took me longer to talk than it did to do the work, actually. I probably could have had it done in about half the time if I just shut up and get to work. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was, and this was made from a 9-inch, 1/4 yard of border fabric. So next time you see a border, next time you see a piece of border fabric in the store and you decide you want it for a project, just remember that you can do stuff like this so that you don't have to buy the full 44-inch length with 1 panel to use and 3 to throw away, and you can instead do stuff like this. Anyway, that's it. That's my video. Thanks for hanging out with me. I am going to get the instructional information written down and put in the description box below. Get that ready so I can put that in the description for when the video goes up. And don't forget to comment below with Table Runner, TABLERUNNER, all one word. And good luck to the winner. And everybody else, thank you very much for hanging out with me and helping me build the channel to what it is right now. This has been a lot of fun. I hope to keep having fun. And in the meantime, like, subscribe, ring the bell, do the things. You know what to do. I'm taking over the world one subscription at a time. And in the meantime, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.